Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today is kind of an exciting one for me and also a frustrating one for me. I'll be talking about my own original story and how it's developed, um, and where it's going in the future, and where you can potentially read it in the future. Also, I finally animated a new little guy for the corner. Just the past few videos haven't had one. Because I didn't want to use the old one while having this guy as my mascot. So I've just animated a new one, and he'll be in the corner for today's video. Also, check out my Instagram because I do post over there too. And yeah, you can check me out there. Um, anyways, let's get on with the video. Okay, so, um, wow, we're already off to a great start. Um, Basically, for this first part, I'm gonna go through um my original designs for this character. So this character is named Sawyer. I'm currently getting books out to find the art so I can look at the art while recording. I should have done this really before I started recording, but hey. Um So basically, I will put up on the screen photos for when um that match the time, like so while I'm talking, yeah. And then we'll get on to his redesign after that. But first is his first drawing that I have of him is one that's actually a kind of like it's in one of my sketchbooks where I started taking sketchbooking a bit more seriously a few years ago. And I put a bunch of drawings in there of like different drawings that I've drawn over the period of time of creating him. I am going to say now he has changed race. He was originally white, um, but that was back because when I first made him and his group of friends, I didn't like I obviously I knew black people existed, but like I didn't realize that like you could make black characters basically. I don't know how to explain it. Other artists will understand. But basically it's like I didn't know I could draw it because the material I watched rarely had other black characters in it, so I did not see a lot of black characters growing up, so that the art I made ended up like not being very like it was just all white people basically is the easiest way of explaining it. Um the next piece of art I believe is also in this sketchbook. Maybe I should have filmed me flipping through the sketchbook for this part instead of taking photos. There's another piece of art in the sketchbook. This is again before he changed race. So I drew him with one of my sister's OCs because Sawyer loses an arm, and his arm that he ended up losing was changed. Also, his original story was called Heroes Aren't Made, and he had superpowers, and his group of friends were superheroes. So that's kind of original Sawyer lore there. Um, Damn, starts from 2023. That is actually crazy. I did not think it was like that long ago. Like I know a lot of this art is, as you can tell from me just saying 2023, is a few years old, like a lot of years old because um he's my one of my oldest characters that I draw repeatedly till this day, and that's why I redesigned him. And we're getting to his first redesign. This is when I changed his race and I was learning how to draw black people's hair. It is something that I have now since then studied doing. I have studied like how you part their hair and all that sort of stuff. Probably not to the best of my ability. I can probably learn a bit more, and I'm going to learn more as years go on and he develops the character. now we're getting up to a more recent sketchbook, which is literally from the beginning of this year. I didn't draw him as much as I wanted to in this book. That's also because I technically haven't finished this sketchbook, but finished enough for my brain. This is one of him with his team, and I went through these pages in my last video, so him with his team, and then one of him on his own, because I love him and I need to draw him all the time. I think there's another art piece of him in here somewhere. I don't remember where though. But oh yeah, I drew some of his arm, trying to figure out how his metal arm would look. But his story has changed, so I don't know if he's still gonna lose an arm. It might be a different character that does that. Or gets that treatment. Okay. So this is a really, really unscripted video. Worse than I intended. Next art I have of him is him with his boyfriend in his old story. He does not have the same boyfriend yet, potentially. And he had a lot of angst. I actually wrote down his angst. But basically, for little story recap, his story was originally, heroes aren't made, they had superpowers, and his boyfriend was a villain, but he didn't know that, and he then chopped off his arm. And that was not very fun for Sawyer. He went through a whole spiral because of it and nearly killed his ex because of it. And then basically the whole plot of that story was then in the end, he died. I don't feel the need to really talk about what the story was because it's changed now. And the last thing I'll show you before we actually move on to the proper speed paint in this video is his redesign. This was mainly just me trying to get a feel of Sawyer again and what I might want him to look like in this new world. But yeah, that's pretty much him. I loved this specifically the one with his hair. And let's move on to the actual speed paint, which I think is really fun and you're gonna like watching. This speed paint is me kind of finalizing what I wanted Sawyer's design for this new world to look like, and I did this one digital because I already had a pretty rough idea of what I wanted traditionally, so I thought I might as well, pardon me, try doing it digitally. And well, he kind of changed a lot. Like, he no longer has red hair, which was one of my, I think, biggest changes that I made to his character was he originally had bright red hair. It was dyed in his universe, but in this world, I decided the red hair clashed too much with like the colors that he was going to have throughout the series. So yeah, and the other thing is I wanted his color to be purple instead of red because even though his hair was red, I kept his hair red because every other design before I redesigned him, his hair has always been red even since I redesigned him. But one thing that also stuck is that he had purple clothes. But another character in his original story had purple clothes, so they clashed a bit. But since the character that also was purple, is no longer in the story, I thought it was okay for him to stay purple, and I prefer purple over red. So I changed him up a bit and made him no longer have red hair, which was a big change, and then I gave him his purple clothes. He is also a prince now. Um, yeah, he's a prince. He was a superhero in his original story. But now he is a prince, and he was actually about to be crowned king. Ooh. But sorry. He was about to be crowned king, but some things happened at his ceremony and he had to leave his kingdom. Basically, people were trying to take over his kingdom, so he had to leave. Um, go into more about the knight character in a little bit. But also, I kept his eye color being green. I just turned it to more of a yellowy green to contrast more with the purple. I gave him more golden accessories since gold looked really good with his skin tone. And popped a bit more. Um, I tried to make him still have his somewhat of his original personality, but changed it up. So like his personality's kind of shifted. Originally, he was a bit more of a not nonchalant dude, but now he's more of a flirty, cocky kind of guy. Um, this style also isn't my current style, but I thought that I'd be doing my web comic in this art style. I still haven't 100% decided on what art style I'm going to be doing for my web comic. I've also not figured out how to web comic yet, so but that's a part for a later section. Um anyways, so as much as the story I can tell you is the first one is his just his attire, that's kind of what he wears. In the second one, he has this robe, which ends up being later changed to red, which I think contrasts a bit better and honestly looks a bit better that it's red because it kind of pops more. Um, but is because he has to run away and kind of go undercover with his knight. Um, because he almost got killed at his ceremony. So then he had to flee and he fled with his knight, and his knight had been raised since his knight, like, oh yeah, his knight's name is Wyatt. Wyatt had been raised since he was a boy to protect Sawyer and, um, like, help Sawyer whenever he needed. So he has, vowed to do that and is doing that until the day he dies. Basically, that's where his loyalties lie. His family basically sold him to Sawyer's family since they are royalty. I don't really know how to explain it. I also tried to draw um Wyatt on the same page just so I could kind of do like a height comparison thing. But I don't know what it is, but I can draw one person, one character's ref sheet, and then I can never draw another one for the same universe. So we just have a ref sheet for Sawyer, and that's already changed in his kind of design anyway. I also decided kind of last minute to give him like a back view, even though it doesn't quite matter, but I did anyway. Anyways, on to the next speed paint where we go into a bit more Sawyer lore. So this is less lore section and more just Sawyer personality section. But since Sawyer was originally a self-insert OC, I decided that maybe Sawyer loves art, but maybe he's low-key kind of shit at it. Anyway, this is Sawyer. I don't know if this is before he has to leave or after he has to leave. On the run or whatever. Practicing painting. I never technically finished this drawing, but I colored it and stuff like that. And I like how it was turning out, but I just sometimes you don't finish your art pieces and that's okay. Just finding when it's finished for you and being okay with it existing like that is sometimes just good enough. Next is just a headshot because this is for the actual webcomic. Yes, the webcomic is actually currently intuition, being made. His story is called Prince of Desire. We'll get a bit more into the naming of it and why it's called that a bit later, but I also don't want to spoil too much if you do end up reading the webcomic, which isn't actually technically out yet, so don't go looking for it, because at the time of posting it, I don't think it's going to be out yet. I'm still working on stuff, and I still have to post a few, like draw a few more panels and slides and sheets before I go and post anything, and sort out some issues I've been having with Webtoon. Um, but basically, this is Sawyer's design up close. This is like his official design. The red, I like how it contrasts, and his crown. I love drawing him with his crown, but he doesn't actually wear a crown for majority of the story. um, which I think is kind of funny because yeah, he doesn't wear the crown for most of the story, but I added him with a crown anyway. Um and in the next final two speed paints, I will be going over a bit more lore and annoying stuff that happened with me with Webtoon. Okay, so the problem with Webtoon is I kept making my files the right size and everything, and I could only get the small frame one to work, the small thumbnail to work. For some reason, for the life of me, I could not figure out, but I couldn't get this one that I'm drawing right now, thumbnail, to work. I actually drew two different drawings because this was my second time drawing this freaking thing because it was just not working. I don't know how to fix this problem. I don't know if it's the program I use or what I'm trying to upload it with or anything like that. Um yeah, but I was just having a lot of struggles. Um and yeah, it's really annoying. But this is the first illustration where we actually get to see Wyatt, even though this was made second. But I don't want to spoil some stuff that's going to be shown in the first one. Wyatt is a knight. He will be wearing a helmet most of the time because ooh la la. Sawyer is also my little twink. I love him. Also Sawyer's name is Sawyer Feathercross because Feathercross is the city where he lives. Yeah. I don't know how to explain it. I thought giving him this kind of intrigued pose was very good and intriguing for the viewer as well. While Wyatt is kind of just standing back there, kind of looking regal-ish and kind of gives people, based off the name and based off the cover, what this story is really about. And like where this is kind of going, people will be like, oh, okay, so clearly the prince falls for the knight. Is the knight a girl or a guy? Is the other thing I was trying to get, because he does have long hair, but he probably comes off more masculine. But then I also kind of like the idea um of not being able to tell if both of them are a guy or a girl at first. Um, but I was also Sawyer was originally trans in his first few iterations, but I changed that because I didn't know how to work that into the story. But someone who does work that into the story very well is Asora, the creator of Asora. You should definitely go check it out because I love the shit out of that webcomic, and y'all should definitely read it. Anyways, next speed paint is a bit more about the lore. So in this one, don't mind the really shitty rough sketch at the beginning. That was my sister helping me plan out what to really do for this story. Um, but basically, this is when I kind of decided that this, no, not Jesus, hold on. So obviously Wyatt is a knight, but then like Leo was Sawyer's original boyfriend, so I turned Leo into a prince and thought either love triangle or throuple. But it kind of also clashed with the title of Prince of Desire because like it's should be Princes of Desire then or something else. So I decided to keep it to just Sawyer and Wyatt for at least a little while. Um and Leo will come in a bit later, I decided, because Leo is also the enemy, like the original story. So Leo is still Sawyer's enemy. Wyatt is there to protect him, and then the other thing why I wanted to change this from to the one that I have now is, first of all, I didn't know which art style I wanted to use until I started doing the second thumbnail. Um, and secondly, because I didn't like that Sawyer wasn't in the frame enough. It felt wrong. Like, because Sawyer is the main character regardless of the situation. So, obviously, I had to change that. So that way, Sawyer was more in frame in the actual thumbnail. And yeah, once I figure my shit out with Webtoon, I will start posting. This video is also being made months in advance, so If it comes out earlier than when this video is posted, um, check my Instagram because my Instagram will be having updates regularly on this when I start posting chapters and stuff like that. So if you want to be kept up in the loop in real time, then go check out my Instagram. My Instagram will be in the description. Um Anyways, I think that's all I pretty much have to say about these guys. If you like my original characters, then you can leave a comment and say you do, or go to my Instagram and DM me. Always open for DMs, and thank you all so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video about me rambling about my stupid little OCs and seeing his old designs and stuff. And thank you so much for watching. Bye. Bye 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 bye.